In a surprise weekend move, President Trump announced what he called the biggest deal ever made, a sweeping trade framework with the European Union. Negotiated at his Turnberry golf resort in Scotland, the deal includes energy investments, military purchases, and a flat 15% tariff on EU goods. But what's really in this agreement? And how much of it is theater versus substance?
President Donald Trump announcing just moments ago that the United States and the European Union reached a framework for a trade deal after his talks with European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen at his Turnberry Golf Club in Scotland.
At the center of this announcement is a high-stakes tariff negotiation. Trump had threatened to impose 30% duties on EU imports by August 1st. The EU blinked, agreeing instead to a flat 15% tariff across the board. That includes sectors like automobiles and agriculture, long-standing points of tension. But there's more. The EU also pledged $750 billion in energy purchases and $600 billion in new U.S. investments. Major economic promises if they materialize.
And they're agreeing to purchase a vast amount of military equipment. We don't know what that number is, but it's the good news is we make the best military equipment in the world, so sort of you have to do that. I mean, until somebody tops us, which is not going to happen. We're way ahead of every other country in terms of the quality of the military equipment. You saw that recently in Iran, and you see that, unfortunately, you see that often for all the wrong reasons, right? So those things are 750 billion, 600 billion, opening up the country. We are agreeing that the tariff straight across for automobiles and everything else will be a straight across tariff of 15%.
The tone from both leaders was optimistic. Ursula von der Leyen, President of the European Commission, emphasized predictability and access for businesses on both sides of the Atlantic. But what does the deal actually guarantee? And what remains a handshake promise?
We have a trade deal between the two largest economies in the world. And it's a big deal, it's a huge deal. It will bring stability, it will bring predictability. That's very important for our businesses on both sides of the Atlantic. It's 15% tariffs across the board, all inclusive. The investments Mr. President just described, that are going to go to the United States and the purchases over there. Indeed, basically the European market is open. It's 450 million people. So it's a good deal.
Timing is everything. Trump's deadline to implement steep tariffs was just days away. The EU, facing potential economic fallout, came to the table. This wasn't a sudden breakthrough. These talks began months ago. But the timing of the announcement, made at Trump's golf club in Scotland, was no accident. Critics note the deal excludes key industries like pharmaceuticals. Others worry about the impact of a 15% blanket tariff on American consumers. Still, the symbolism of reopening European markets to American goods is a clear political win, especially for Trump's base in manufacturing and agriculture.
4 or 5, no, not pharmaceuticals. I mean, we're going to be, as you know, a lot of companies are coming into the U.S., and that's unrelated to this deal.
Trump highlighted two industries he believes will benefit first: autos and agriculture. He pointed to European restrictions on American vehicles and suggested that's about to change, opening the door for U.S. carmakers and farmers.
So I think maybe cars would be the one that would go the biggest, and the second would be agriculture, the farmers.
For Trump, this deal offers a ready-made campaign talking point: the art of the deal in action. For the EU, it's a way to lock in trade access and avoid a bruising tariff war. But critics, including some U.S. economists, caution that vague promises of investment don't mean much without enforcement.
15% tariffs across the board. Some European companies, and again, this is just happening in real time here, so we'll have to wait and see the reaction. It's higher than many companies and countries would have liked, but again, it avoids the threat of that 30% tariff. So this is certainly a political win for the U.S. president. There's no doubt about that. But as
other countries are watching, will Trump's strategy, threats followed by deals, become a model? He hinted that letters had already gone out to several governments warning of tariffs unless similar agreements are reached.
We're looking at deals with 3 or 4 other countries. But for the most part, I can't get them to understand that it's the letter. We just sent that letter, and that letter is, very universal for most. I mean, you wouldn't be able to do this. You wouldn't have the time or the patience to be able to do a deal like this. Most of the others are going to be a certain tariff, and we're going to keep it as low as we can. They're generally smaller countries or countries we don't do much business with. But that they've already received, to a large extent, they've received a letter. They'll probably receive a letter of clarification or a confirmation-type letter, which will go out sometime during this week, prior to August 1st. And the tariff.
So what's the bottom line? Trump secured a flashy, high-dollar deal with Europe, packed with promises of investment and transatlantic unity. But, as always, the real test is in the follow-through. Will factories be built? Will tariffs hold? Or was this another big press moment that fades in the news cycle? Let me know what you think in the comments. And if this story is worth a closer look in a few months.